At least you know it's a real thing, and that's how I look at it.
Which is why we never refuse to anyone. You know, we train anyone who is interested in Narcan. You know, we never say no to a training.
We don't know when you're going to be in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
Either.
Right. There you go. And this is the perfect time for a break. What do you think? Okay?
Sure.
I think so, too. So you're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. This is Joan Buckley and Tina Wolfe, Nicole Chimento. And we're going to continue talking about saving lives after this short break.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
90.3 WHPC.
Welcome back to Your Family's Health. This is Joan Buckley and Tina Wolfe and Nicole Chimento. And we were talking about saving lives, and they're both extremely important in the community action for social justice. And when we left the conversation, we were talking about Narcan, the Narcan training. It's out in the community. I mean, they're talking about having it made available in our drug stores for people to purchase if you're living with someone that is abusing or in danger of overdosing. But more importantly, I really want to know why I understand you stay. You're both very special people, and it sounds like your team is a very special group of people. But what makes you stay? Like, there's always something that makes me stay in teaching. So what makes you stay in this? Because there has to be some hard stuff to handle and go home every night with. So what makes you stay?
I think it's a great question. So I started doing syringe exchange 15 years ago in the South Bronx. And I worked in the South Bronx for a little while. I worked in Brooklyn for a little while. I ran the program in Queens for 4 years. And that's how I ended up on Long Island, is there were young kids from Long Island who ended up in our drop-in center in Jamaica, Queens. And so in 2012, I came out here to start the first syringe exchange program on Long Island. And it was, at an interesting time in my life. I mean, in Queens, I was burned out. I was actually thinking about leaving the field at that time. And so I think the different population and the different environment, the different challenges that came with doing that work on Long Island was sort of a renewal or rebirth for me in the field. But shortly after that, I got protested out here, and it's like, hey, maybe this isn't such a great idea. And yeah, there have been really difficult times in the work itself, and things that are difficult not to take home with you. And I guess for me as the executive director, like, there is no sort of home for me. Like, this is my home. There's very, very few boundaries between my life and my work. And a little over a year ago, one of the women who worked part-time for us, she was an active user, had come to me. She had worked with us for 2 years. And she came to me for the first time in 2 years and said, Tina, I'm ready to stop. And she talked about sort of life after heroin. And, a week later, she was ready, and I took her to detox. And she was had about maybe 2 weeks clean when she died of an overdose. And when her boyfriend came home from work and found her, he called me. It was probably one of the hardest days of my life.
But she got 2 weeks.
Both in and out of the field, but yeah, after that happened, it took me a while. My team knows I was a mess, and they're great. They were there every way to support me, and but when I looking back on it now, just a year later, I'm so grateful that I was the one she came to when she was ready. Then I got to drive her out there, and we got to spend that day together and just have real conversation, that I got to know a different side of her than most other people ever knew in her life, that she did get those 2 weeks and that she got to try. Mm-hmm. She saved 3 people's lives with Narcan the week before she died.
Wow.
And so she was, her sort of legacy lives on. The things that she did, the things that she changed and made better in this world will carry on. And we get to carry on sort of her memory. And so, I'm able to take her experiences and pass them along to other people when we do trainings now. I always talk about her because she exemplifies, the same risk factors that everybody else deals with and that lots of other people die because of too. And so if we can, I think that like I said, our firsthand experiences, our personal life stories and those close to us, if we're able to pass those on and help one other person, that's
you
what
won't
matters.
even know how many people you've helped, right? I don't think you'll ever know how many people you helped. So how about for you? What's your what keeps you?
Initially, I was thinking of one story, but as Tina was speaking, I just thought of another. And when I was actually at the other syringe exchange program that I used to work for, I had this relationship with this one man. He was a veteran, and he had lost all ties with his family. His daughter, hasn't spoken to any of them in a while because of his drug use. Basically on and off the streets, just, not great. And he one day came to me and asked me for help. And said, I'm ready. I want to see my daughter again. And we got him the help he needed. And he came back and he wrote me and my staff this amazing letter that I still have to this day. And I'm getting chills now just thinking about it, actually.
I'm getting chills.
It was just the sweetest letter ever. It was just about how he never thought he would speak to his daughter again. And he's actually going out to visit her. And how, he can't help but think of us as his angels on this earth, and he can never repay us for what we gave back to him. And, I mean, if something like that doesn't keep you in this job, I don't know what could possibly. It was just someone who served our country, wound up in a really unfortunate situation, and wanted to change his ways, reached out to me, and I was able to help him in a way that he didn't think he could achieve at any point. So it was really cool.
I honestly, until there was this appointment or this agreement for you to come to the radio show and talk about this, I really was never familiar with, and I'm not going to say the initials. I know you say it really good, but I went right to Community Action for Social Justice, and I think that the title of the group it says it all. And I really appreciated the way Tina introduced it as, meeting the person where they're at and not trying to make a huge change that you think they should do. Now, dealing with families, though, do you ever have instances where the families say, I've had enough. Mm-hmm. I've had enough. I can't take. What should I do? Like, I know you're there for the person that's using, and that's 100%. How do you feel about the families, though? Because now they're not accepting the person where they're at, or are they?
So there's a couple different. What I like to do is actually sit down and talk with the family, and there are a couple different places they can be at. We work with some families whose kids are coming back from sober houses because they relapsed. And so in that case, the family is aware that their child is using, and they are willingly taking them back in. So that to me signals, some level of acceptance, and they're willing to take that on. We work with enough families for me, even though I don't have my own children who are using, to know if the constant fear and trauma that goes along with having somebody that you love very dearly actively using and never knowing if you're going to wake up to find them dead or alive. It's serious. And the family needs to take a serious accounting of whether or not they can handle this. Because some families can and do, and some families can't. And that everybody's health and mental health needs to be preserved here. We don't say, everybody else, the heck with you, we're just focusing on the user, right? It needs to be the whole family. But, where there are those opportunities, we talk a lot about communication, open communication in terms of overdose prevention. Locked doors don't help anybody. Yes, you want Narcan in the household. You want everybody to know how to use it, even other siblings. We want the person using to know that there's Narcan in the household. There's no secrets here. So we advise people to talk, to be open in their communication. Say something like, "Hey, Mom, can you check on me in 15 minutes?" A lot of kids are not comfortable saying, "Hey, Mom, I'm about to go get high right now." But, saying, "Mom, can you check on me in 15 minutes?" opens up those lines of communication such that maybe the parent is not living in constant fear. Maybe that fear is then reduced to certain segments of the day, and they know to check and they know how to use Narcan. They're prepared, and it doesn't make the situation any better. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this work for 15 years. I've been doing overdose prevention training since 2006 when it became legal in New York State for lay people to distribute it. Mm-hmm. And it's still a very high anxiety situation when you have to use it and know that this person's life is in your hands. The last time I used it was in November, and I remember it like it was yesterday. But it was one of those really amazing situations where this young kid screwed up. I happened to be in the right place at the right time, and now he's on maintenance therapy. He's in college. He's doing these amazing things, and you just get so lucky to be able to be there in the right place at the right time to allow more magic to happen in this person's life.
Now, how about people that, that in the community that you want them to remember something about this interview that will help them be either more open, maybe not even more open, because I think we live in a pretty diverse community, and I think there are a lot of really open people and a lot of really helping people. So what would you want to leave them with? What message?
I'm actually going to quote my executive director. You can't make different or better, in some people's opinions, decisions if you're dead. So how do we keep these people alive so that they can make those different decisions? Narcan's a huge way. Harm reduction's a huge way. Our program is a great way. As Tina said earlier, we're that safety net for the people so that they don't slip through the cracks and so that they can make those better decisions.
Everybody's got a phone. Do you have a text number that they could reach out to you if they needed to?
Yeah, so our program's free. It's anonymous. We go to them. We service Nassau and Suffolk, and the text number would be 631-352-2263.
I want to thank you both for coming and talking on the show. And if I didn't get a question in, you can always come back, okay? We want to thank our guests. We want to thank Tina Wolfe and Nicole Chimento from the Community Action for Social Justice arena, and we want to thank them for being with us today with the community audience. And thank you for listening to Your Family's Health.